Hi guys! So today we are going to women's conference or tonight today at Auckland City. Hey Mirko. Come on, let's go. Sky City guys, look. Beautiful.
I would really like a piece of that chocolate.
Too bad.
Did you know you?
Yeah, we took from here straight in.
Great.
I'm telling you, you guys could have just walked through that anyway and made it there.
Look at me.
Oh,
Your destination is on the right.
Heo feta iba. What can you building safe?
This not be angry.
I think you just need to drop us here, Billy.
Oh, but I don't know where to go.
Okay, good. It's open. Look, we were standing outside here. We thought this thing doesn't open. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, thank you, Billy.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that man over there was trying to help him.
Oh, he opened it. Huh? We go through the other way. Ah. Where's the door? I think that's the door. We came through the. I think we came through the back. Oh, look at that, guys. That's beautiful. Mirko, wait for me. Goes all the way up there, and there.
Whakina te kawa nui, te kawa rā, te kawa whakatike, hua no mai, tiki o te rangi. I tiku ko te pū, ko te rito, ko te wē, ko te taka, ko te pūkinga, ko te wānanga, ko te taura, ko te tauhira. Tēnei rā te awhiru, ko te awhirangi no te oro, i amatua nui. I pui te take, ue, nuku, ue, rangi. Tēnei ka hohau i runga i te tipua, i runga i te tawhito, i runga i te kāhui o ngā riki. Kia puta i nei tauhira ki te whaia, puta ki te o mārama whāno, hara mai te toki, haere, huie, taiki e! Manoa ne te hua ki rangi, manoa ne te hua ki papa. O haunuku te kokona whareka ki te haurangi, te kokona nākau, kia rongohea. Kauwai runga tia, kauwai raro tia, ka pūkawa tia te mānei hurangi. O hine nākau, o tama nākau, heoranga tīnana, heoranga wairua, tau te mauri, tau hā, tau ana. Nō reira tātou mai i runga i ngā kupu karakia, i runga i te reo karanga, tēnei mātou, ka whakatau i a koutou, nau mai, hara mai, piki mai, kake mai, tau mai ki runga i tō mātou whare, whaka mahana i a tātou i tēnei wā, hara mai, nau mai, tau mai. Ka rere ngā mihi kia rātou mā, ko wheturangi tia rātou, i ngā reo, e rauranga tira mā. O tira koutou, ngā tini, ngā mano, mā reikura, kua kuhu mai ngā tatau. One wonderful occasion, auspicious occasion that we've all gathered here today, in a series of kaupapa. I believe this is one of maybe the last kaupapa that has travelled around the motu. We welcome you to Tāmaki Makaurau. We welcome you in the best way that we know possible through the traditional customs e kia nei tikanga Māori on behalf of Ngāti Whātua, your local iwi, Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei. We welcome you, we welcome you, we welcome you. We would like to acknowledge all of your mana and all of your toku that you bring here today, and most particularly we'd like to welcome our guests, our panelists that have come to whakarangatira i te kaupapa, that have come to elevate the kaupapa. Jacinda Ardern, the Honourable Jacinda Ardern, who has carried us through many trials and tribulations in our country, and it's great to see her leadership still taking place in amongst her people. So Jacinda, ka nui te mihi ki a koe. Also like to extend a mihi to some of our other guests in the country that have travelled from afar internationally. Fatma, Secretary General of FIFA, Fatma Samura, Aroha Samura, Lihiana, welcome to your local iwi of Ngāti Whātua. Bring your tupuna, bring your mana and your tapu, and you have a place here in Aotearoa. So many people to acknowledge, like to acknowledge Ruby Tui, te rangatira, te kaitoa, o te ao, Whiti Poro, lovely to see you backstage. So like to extend some warm greetings to her as well. Amongst her, we have the great Honourable Natalie Portman. One of the best actresses in the world. It's a really awesome time in Aotearoa, and it's great to have you in the best part of Aotearoa, Tāmaki Makaurau. So we extend a welcome to you as well. And we won't forget our local council, Beasley Simpson, who's a very dear friend to Ngāti Whātua. So welcome you all. Kia ora, Beasley. And also, moana mania poto, te korokoro tūwi, I roto I te ao waiata, I roto I te ao whakaata Māori, tēnā koe te rangatira. I think that's everybody. Koe anō, kia poto te kakau o te whaipa, I te they one. Enough of my voice. We've got so much kōrero in front of us. As the saying goes, time waits for no man and very few women. Ko reira, piri noa, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa. Tēnā koutou, mauri ora kia tātou katoa.
Kia koutou. I ngā reo, I ngā waka, I ngā karangatanga maha. Nau mai, haere mai ki tēnei hui whakihira I te pōne. Me mihi ka tika ki te mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau ki Ngāti Whātua o Rākei, tēnā koutou katoa. Kei aku rangatira tēnā koutou, kia tātou katoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you so much to Ngāti Whātua o Rākei for that beautiful welcome from Mana Whenua and for elevating Natalie Portman to the status of Minister of the Crown. I think this is a good thing. This is exactly what we should be doing. This is the kind of decision making we are doing in this series of events. We decide things, they happen. Welcome to State of Play. Ko Michelle Airport, toko ingoa. It is a delight to be your kaiwhakataki this evening. This is the equalised grand final. This is the last one. It has been the most amazing series of speaker events. We've been holding them all around the Motu and having an amazing time. They've been presented by New Zealand Story to showcase Aotearoa's role as a driving force in gender equity on a global scale. To measure how far we have come, to look at where we are now, to see how far we have to go. And it's been made possible thanks to funding from the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, MB. They have a job to raise the profile of women and girls in sport and also in wider society. So this has been a terrific, yes, give them a round of applause for MB. To use this moment, this time while we are co-hosting the FIFA World Cup, Women's World Cup, to show that spotlight on what we're up to. So I have to do housekeeping. I'm sure all your phones are on silent because you've grown up, so I feel that. Samura, Dame Jacinda Ardern and the Honourable Natalie Portman. And then we were going to bring all four women on stage together to have a conversation with Moana Maniapoto. Right now it is my pleasure to introduce the person who will interview each of our wahine, Amanda Davis. Amanda is CNN's international sports anchor. She's fronted the network's coverage of every major sports event over the last decade. Not just that, but she has also led many of the major news stories on sport, on FIFA, on doping, on Lance Armstrong. There's a Venn diagram that overlaps there. Everyone from Serena Williams to Usain Bolt to David Beckham, Michael Federer, Roger Federer. She's interviewed all of the Federers. If there is a Federer that she hasn't interviewed, I'd like to know who they are. So tonight she is going to help us get to know our 4 stars one by one. Would you please give a massively warm welcome to Amanda Davis.
Everybody, I look forward to putting this out on my next interview. It is such a pleasure to be here. Firstly, congratulations, because I understand that not the Women's World Cup semi-finals, but tonight is the hottest ticket in town. So congratulations for getting your hands on one of those tickets. It promises to be a fantastic evening ahead. And the last time I was fortunate enough to be standing on this stage was when I was privileged to be asked to co-host the draw for the Women's World Cup back in October, when the balls were drawn for the events that have played out. And there was such hope, excitement and anticipation of what's to come. And it has been such a pleasure, as somebody who has covered women's football for so many years, to have seen what has played out over the last few weeks, to see the players shine on the biggest stage, to see the incredible show that Australia and New Zealand have put on. So thank you for the last couple of weeks, and thank you too for asking me to be involved with this evening and to speak to some true powerhouses of women. And that of course is why we're here and why you are here. So let us get started. Firstly, a rugby icon, an Olympic gold medal winner, a Women's Rugby World Cup winner here on home soil. And that is only half of the story, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ruby Tui. I'm not sure it's my job to welcome you home, but welcome home because you're back playing rugby on home soil for the first time since the Rugby World Cup win. How's it been?
Tēnā koe, Amanda. Nā mihi tua tahi o te haukainga o Tamaki Makaurau. Nā te whātua o Rākei. Te kare, mana wahine e mua, Natalie Portman, kia ora kare, tēnā koe, tēnā tautau, Talofa lava, alofa atu, o Vailua Parauli o Nuku, 685 baby. I am happy to be home.
I've got to say, thank you. You were scaring me a bit there, because this conversation I was going to struggle.
I've just been in the States, you're right, and so when I say kia ora, I just get like looks. I'm very, very happy to be home, but I must say, Mariri, it is so cold here. Hey, I slipped over and woke up in Vegas one of the nights and it was 44 degrees at midnight, and then I get off the plane in Tamaki Makaurau, it's like 5 degrees, so look, I'm very happy to be home, Amanda. Thank you for welcoming me, I appreciate that. But yeah, this FIFA World Cup, bloody good.
Oh, have you been able to enjoy it? And it must be very different being able to enjoy a World Cup, not having to worry about the playing bit.
Oh, it's like, I think all my black friends, sisters will be able to relate. It's just bringing everything. Who watched that quarter with Aussie? And those penalty, jumping up and down, and I was just like, there's literally no feeling like that.
So, are the Kiwis supporting the Matildas? Let's get that out of the way.
Straight up, I will support a nation who is supporting their home World Cup and making it historic, standing up and saying we are here. So if that's the Tillies, let's go.
now to your World Cup success here on home soil. How much for you was obviously about the winning, but the bigger picture and promoting the game and equality?
Absolutely, I still am just so proud of this country, and you know, I remember there was rumours of like, oh, if we host the soccer or co-host the Soccer World Cup, I'll come from the States, please don't say soccer, hosting the FIFA Football World Cup, you know, oh, New Zealand won't come out, and I've had the same feeling that I had at the Rugby World Cup. I know New Zealand's great, I know we get behind amazing causes. But look at the history books of Aotearoa, we are an amazing country, as is Australia, you know, punch well above our weight. And people always say, you know, oh, Black Ferns changed the game with our World Cup. We didn't do anything except what we've been doing for the last how many years. It was the Aotearoa people who changed the game. They turned out in the opening game. They broke all the records first before anybody else, and they sold out that final World Cup. And I'm sorry, fan, but we won because of you. Thank you, I knew it.
You say that, but you starting out in your rugby career, there was a whole lot for you to fight for. But you were integral to the centralised contracts, and it's a very different picture now to when you started.
When you say me, you don't just mean me, eh?
Not just you.
Can't say it, because there's no way. It took so many people, some of which we all know the names of, some of which nobody knows the names of. It was, you know, a very, very long journey, and I honestly think I'm lucky enough to have experienced amateur and professionalism within my career, but one of the most exciting things, you know, because I'm playing the Bunnings FBC right now, like it's really cool. I lost it all.
I wasn't going to mention that.
You can't see that as he carries my team. Shout out to Marco, that was Ford's listening weight tonight. Sorry, I'll make it up. But, you know, I get to before I slate a pathway that we are then blessed to stand on, and it gets easier for every next person. I think the key though is that when we're in those roles, when we're blessed to be in those roles, let's not pretend that we're perfect. We're not. We're humans. We make mistakes. We get things wrong. In this day and age, I think we've come to a point where we dehumanise our leaders sometimes, and we dehumanise our sports people, and we expect them to be superhuman and super resilient. But they're just people. I think the more that we're willing to display that we're just people, the more likely perhaps people will be a little more forgiving, the more likely that someone else might say, well, I'm a human, maybe I can do it too. We'll get greater diversity of leadership, I think, if we allow ourselves to just be our authentic selves.
Feel like a fight to you? Did you feel like you were fighting?
Not all the time. I think it gets portrayed like that, unfortunately. I think, you know, politics is portrayed like it's a blood sport. I don't know if I probably, you know, obvious point to make. I'm not the sporting type, and I didn't go into politics because I liked the cut and thrust. I went into it because I just thought it was a place you could make a difference. And so that isn't the day-to-day experience. One of the things I really regret about, and this isn't just in New Zealand, this is global, you don't actually see the times when you work together. And politicians work together a lot. And wouldn't it be nice if we spend a little more time talking about the times we cooperate? Because when New Zealand needs everyone to rally, we rally at every level. But unfortunately, that doesn't make a very interesting headline or a very interesting story, so you don't get to see it that much. I guess it would be the equivalent of every sporting match in a draw. But so it's not a fight every day, and it never felt like a fight every day for me. I got a lot of joy out of the job. I just didn't get to talk about the joyful bits as much.
What gave you the most joy?
The little things. One of my favourite things to do was to go and visit high schools and talk to students. You know, because they were just so grounded in what they wanted to see and what their expectations were. They weren't cynical. You're in power, go and do something. Fix it. And I like that simplicity as well. And then the little things, just, you know, seeing a problem and knowing that you had it within your power to do something about that problem. With that though comes some pretty you know, extreme emotions on both sides. On the one hand, people can feel very emotionally that you fixed something for them. On the other, people can feel very deeply that you ruined something for them. So that's just what comes with the job.
Have you jumped on board the Barbie bandwagon?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm told I need to. I still remember my first Barbie. I think I was at least 8 before I was allowed to have one in my house. I had a remote control car before I ever had a Barbie. But does anyone remember the Magic Moves Barbie? I just realised I'm irritating. It was the simple pleasures of toys back in the 1980s, but I still have it.
But there's nothing wrong with you first off having a remote control car.
No, not at all. I was quite proud of it. And that was just the nature of, you know, growing up here and when I did, yeah.
And you have often described yourself as a feminist.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? And has that changed over the course of your career?
Does anyone in this room believe that women should be limited in anything based on the fact that they are a woman? You know, should they receive unequal pay? Should they have different access to leadership? Should they be, you know, should they expect to experience violence in their lives? I believe that actually break it down in a simple way, and most people would say they were feminists. Yeah, I would hope.
The red clock of doom. My final thing for you moving forwards, using your platform, what is the most important thing for you in the fight for equity and inclusion?
Again, I come back to these simple measures. You know, what kind of world is my daughter going to step into? And the beautiful thing for me is that I never grew up thinking that my gender would get in the way of me being able to work in politics because of people like Denise Shipley and Helen Clark. And now, you know, my daughter's going to look to the future and she'll think that she can be an elite athlete because of the football ferns or the black ferns, and she's seen it in real time. It's about just continuing to break down those barriers wherever we see them, and as Ruby said, what an amazing time to be a part of. But everyone makes a little contribution in that regard. Every time they do something a little bit differently than it was done before, every time they wear the consequence of that, if there is, every time they go out of their comfort zone, just push a little further along, you're laying that pathway for someone else. That's legacy.
We've spoken politics. Now let's bring a bit of Hollywood into proceedings, shall we? Next up, please welcome acclaimed actress, filmmaker, producer, Academy Award winner, Golden Globe winner, and founding owner of groundbreaking football franchise Angel City FC. Please welcome Natalie Portman. We did that well, didn't we? Wonderful to see you. According to social media, you've been quite enjoying your few weeks down under. Well, what has been the highlight of the Women's World Cup for you so far?
Well, first of all, just getting to be here in this extraordinary country and in Australia, which is also so just gorgeous and such incredible people in both places. That's been really, really special. And then, of course, to see all of the passion and fervor at the games and see all of these athletes just be extraordinary is my favorite kind of entertainment. Thank you! I love your Prime Minister. Forever.
I feel really bad now asking this question after that. Dare I mention Team USA?
It was heartbreak. It was heartbreak, but you know, it was wonderful getting to see our captain at Angel City, who's the captain of the New Zealand team, Alan Riley. Play so well, and to see our Junendo, who's one of our players on the Japanese team, play extraordinarily well. And then of course, now the Australians, seeing them, you know, maybe going all the way. So.
I don't want to put you on the spot. Have you had a chance to speak to Ali after their exit? How is she doing?
I haven't spoken to her. We exchanged emails, and she seemed really, you know, proud, I think, of the experience, and was touring around New Zealand and getting to spend time here. So I know that's an amazing consolation prize, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we're here at an event talking about equity and inclusion and equality. How do you think equity in sport compares to equality in acting?
Well, one of the things that made me interested in sport as a place to push equity forward was because of the echoes I felt from what athletes experience to what actresses experience, where, you know, a female-led film, as you just mentioned, Barbie, thank God, is breaking these barriers and proving to everyone how popular female-centered filmmaking can be. But for years they would say, well, women don't get paid the same as men because their movies don't make as much money. And people say the same thing about sports. Women athletes don't get paid as much because people don't watch them as much. They're not as popular. And you're like, well, if you don't advertise it the same, if you don't market it the same, if you don't broadcast it the same, if you don't make it easily accessible to see on your TV station, then how can you compare it? And when you do invest as much in women's sports as you do in men's sports, when you do invest as much in women-led films as men films, then come back and show me that there's a difference and, you know, justify the inequity. And so I think that, you know, as that's what we're still really fighting for in athletics, of course. You know, I know in Australia, I don't know how it's been here, but so many of my friends there were saying, we're trying to watch it on TV, we can't get it on TV. It's not easy to find, which is insane. It's the World Cup, you know. So I think that we have to make sure that it's an even playing field on the, you know, broadcasting, marketing, advertising front.
And it was the equal pay row with the US women, wasn't it, that really spiked your interest and got you to set up Angel City FC. What for you were the non-negotiables with how you went about that?
Well, I knew that it was obvious to me that these were already big stars and they were already it wasn't, you know, so many people were questioning, you know, will people come? They were saying, you know, do you think you can sell 8 to a game? And it seemed so obvious to me because I saw how much people were hungry for it. And, you know, we've been selling out our stadium in 22,000 seats regularly. It's exceeded everyone's doubts, which has been so to see that what seemed obvious to me, and I was like, well, doesn't anyone realize how popular this is, has come true, of course.
Talk to me about the pink, because pink it's interesting. I have hosted events before and I've been told, well, you don't want to wear pink because you're a woman. You've embraced the pink.
Well, we went through a very intense process of getting the colors for our team, which included kind of what would represent LA and this kind of like asphalt and sunset appearance. So the pink is meant to be part of that. And I think that we need to own everything that's been, you know, used to degrade us also, and take it back and use it in a, you know, use it in a powerful way. And so that's a small piece of that.
You're now, in some ways, as Angel City, going head to head with a little known footballer called Lionel Messi, who is going to start wearing pink. What impact do you think Leo joining an MLS team will have on the NWSL?
I think it's so exciting, and it's just accelerating interest in soccer, the real football in the United States, which it's already been on that path, particularly for the women. It's exciting, actually, that the men are catching up, because in the US, the women have been, internationally stars and internationally successful, and the US men, of course, have not been as internationally very difficult. So it's exciting to see it just growing on all fronts.
And I'm fascinated by there's a new drove of Hollywood owners into football, particularly in England. Rob McElhenney, Ryan Reynolds, JJ Watt, NFL star, Tom Brady has just got involved. Is there a bit of competition now between you as owners?
I think it's just more excitement. I think it hopefully just brings more enthusiasm and eyes on the sport and on all variations of it.
What for you does equity and inclusion mean?
It's, I think that it means, of course, that everyone has the same opportunities, but also I think that we need to think about the different needs of different groups, because like for women athletes, having equity for their practice facilities or their health training might look very different than what the men get, and what they need, the needs might be very different. And so I think, you have to look at differences, but, give the equal access and the equal opportunity as per need. And it's, not just in sport, but in like some of the things that fascinate me in other areas for pay equity, for example, are like pay segregation, which I had recently learned about, where there are certain fields that are primarily female fields, like teaching or elderly care, and those fields are less paid than other fields, or less than we value them, of course, because those are some of the most important jobs in our lives. And so that's been something that's really fascinating, because it's not where you can compare men and women and say this is unequal, but it's like a whole category that is undervalued because it's predominantly female.
Do you think the pay discussion actually in some part detracts from the bigger issue? Rightly.
In a capitalist world, the way we say what we care about is how we pay people. And so if you're paying the person who takes care of the kids at the daycare, fraction of what you're paying your accountant, then that's what you're saying you care about, and that's a really, really big deal. And really, that to me, I think is unfortunately where we can really look at what our core values are and what we care about.
And that is a great point to then bounce on to the next conversation, isn't it? For now, Natalie Portman, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the discussions. Got a few cogs whirring, a few things to think about. There is plenty more to come, so sit back, enjoy. I'm now going to hand you back to Michelle. Thank you so much for your time.
How you keep your feet on the ground, because it's easy to get a feet How do you keep your feet? You've got to hold on to it. Yeah. Lock someone up. Yeah. So, oh God, I'm going to go. Oh my God.
you've talked about keeping the ego. New Zealand is fantastic like that, aren't you? It's just, you know, you just can't get too flash.
Describing stadiums and the events and the experience at the US, and I was thinking, when we found out we were hosting the FIFA Women's World Cup, third biggest sporting event in the world, the government's like, we'll put in some money and fix the toilets.
It's very important. It's very important. Yeah.
I think all of them have been fixed.
Jacinda, how have you kept your feet on the ground? Because sure you've got a lot of, you know, flack and negative stuff, but I know that it must be uncomfortable sometimes being somewhat, I don't mean to disrespect you, but you know, deified in some ways, like kind of held up there.
Oh,
how do you cope with that?
Well, that doesn't happen in New Zealand. I don't worry about that too much. And that's I would not change that for the world, that we have such proximity to our leaders in New Zealand. That, you know, I remember once being in a supermarket and I was just staring blankly at the muesli bars. When someone came over and said, look, I'm so sorry. Can I talk to you about the civilianization of the military? And so you're just constantly engaging with people. I keep it real in the muesli bars, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
And people keep it real. Keep it real, not multiple. What about when you're a Hollywood star? Do you like want to go out and just like not have any mascara on and just like, I just want to slob around? You do that?
Most of the time.
Oh, I love that. How do you keep your well-being well? How do you look after yourself?
That's a great question. Well, I like to walk in nature, and today I had a gorgeous walk here. Luckily, this amazing country.
Yeah. We've got a lot of people who'd probably like to escort you on nice.
I'm very restricted.
Oh, but what about you? How do you keep your sense of well-being, your balance?
I don't think there's nothing like anything like work-life balance. With 288 days traveling abroad is difficult, but I'm always complaining of something. Everybody would like to have me for dinner or lunch. Nobody's inviting me to play golf.
Ruby, you talked in your book. You have a lovely way of gratitude. Can you just share that with their audience? It's beautiful.
Yes, it was funny that story actually. Ellen and Anna here. I'm not sure if Maggie, my ghostwriter's here, but I truly believe they thought I didn't know how to spell grateful.
I wonder.
Yeah, they're like, really, that's not how you spell it. But I said, no, there's a co-public, there's a story, and still they didn't want to print it because they thought people were going to think it was a typo, and I was very strong on this. Gratitude is, if you are grateful, I don't need you to tell me, I will see it in your great actions every day. And it's something I try to remind myself, because some of those fitness tests fail. Some of those trainings fail. I want to really look deep into the gratitude and say, one foot in front of the other every day. But I take that into, it's a full-on day of my life. And I think, we talk about trying to stay grounded, getting caught to show off at the korokapapas. I try and figure out who I am, get through all the messy stuff to find the beautiful diamonds in the rough. Find my values, and every decision I make come back to those values. And I recently had a very difficult decision to make in my career. Do I stay in New Zealand? Do I travel offshore? And I had a sabbatical, got a sabbatical in the contract, and I had to decide with my manager who's here today, DJ dancing.
Everybody here?
Sorry, yeah, I know. And I was thinking, there were a couple of countries in Asia that were. I don't know how to put that politely or humbly, but I was looking around, I was thinking, man, what am I grateful for? And you know, I'm grateful for, you know, do you know who else is here? The New Zealand's so small, sorry. Jeremy from NS is here. And, you know, he gives, the same time he sends the books to the boys, he sends the books to us, and little things like that. Very grateful for that. And there's a competition in the United States called the PR7s. And yeah, there wasn't as much, you know. But what they did was, from the initiation of the conception of their competition, that your ears perk up because you want to invest in this one too. From the very conception, every single thing about the tournament, equity. The men's and the women's team, same outfits, same training time, same coverage on the social media, same level of everything, same prize money. There's a men's champion, a women's champion, and a united champion, because every franchise has a men's and a women's team. That's what I'm grateful for. That's my gratitude, and that's where I'm going. So, you know, it's not only keeps you grounded, but it can guide you in your decisions you make as well. So that's what gratitude.
We finish. Yeah. That was so nice, I bet. So thank you guys for coming with us today. See you next time. Bye.